Okay, so in this video, we're going to be covering 8 teams that I've concocted that you could run overall using the best units in the game. I would like to consider these pretty much the best teams you can run, but if you have any other teams that you've been using, let me know. Obviously, this game is easy to the point where it's like so many different things will work, but I'm just trying to say like these are the best ones that I feel like make the most sense for people to run. Now, I've made a little graphic to explain every single role. Now, keep in mind, anyone on this list basically could be replaced by the other roles. So like, for example, you could replace Kafka by Mina, right? And then you could replace kind of in a way like the AoE units, right? They kind of work in tandem sometimes, but usually I like to have one single target and then one blaster AoE. So essentially it's kind of like this, where it's like one of these guys, like one of these, one of these guys, and then one of these guys. That's usually the way I personally like it, but also Kikoru does count for blast. So it's like, you know, usually have one main DPS, which main DPS is, as of right now, I would say consider the most like big one is like Reno and of course Kafka. And then, you know, also I would say Gen and Mina constitute as main DPS, Kikoru more sub DPS because she's a debuffer, right? So basically what I mean is, especially for sustain, instead of running Isao, for example, you could instead run, I think her name is Minase, right? So you could do something like that, where if I say Isao, well, instead it could be Minase, and then it could also be one of the two on the right, even though they're a bit less, you know, good. And then for damage support, same thing. If I say Hoshina, well, you could run Mina instead. So something like that. And then I put 2 DPS replacements. So these are units that, like, if you don't have a DPS, right, or want to use a 4-star for some reason, these are the only 2 that you could really justify. I think Kikoru is probably very, very good. I've seen a lot of people using her. And then Kafka is max duped, which is the reason I have him there. So yeah, we got blast damage, which is the adjacent. So we hit the main one and the 2 on the left and right. If you hit the right target, you only hit the right target and the middle target, right? So that's kind of how it works. I'm not going to explain that, but yeah, these are all the units and the different type of damage. I only counted the DPS. Usually, like, they've made it very clear DPSs are going to be the main premium units they're selling, but they are fine with 4 stars being supports, as we see here. So let's get into it right away and just get going, right? So this is the first team, and you can see the names on the bottom left of the screen, and it says Premium 1. So this is the first premium team, and overall, I mean, listen, there's no real 4-star supports, not in the same way that Hoshina is. So basically, you got Reno as the main DPS, Kikoru as the sub DPS doing the debuffs, Isao as the sustain, and Hoshina as the support. Hoshina is very good, and you want to make sure he's comboing with Reno, because first of all, he with when his battle buddy gets speed when he uses his combat skill or ult, and if it's SP 1 or less, crit damage for 42%. Now it says if it was only the combat skill, that would suck, because sometimes Reno goes behind, and it's like you use the skill 2, then you have 0 SP for Reno, but if you ult, it applies speed here, crit damage, and then with his dupes, you got over here extra crit rate, which for Reno is ridiculously good. Basically makes it that Reno is at 100% crit rate almost all the time. For example, my Reno right now is at 69% crit rate. With that, it's 90%, and then on ult he gets 15, so he's at 105% crit rate. I don't even think you could go higher than 100. So it's like, you know, you basically max out if you have Hoshina at dupe 1. So, you know, Hoshina is very good. Crit damage, crit rate buff. And then here, single target and blast attack damage for 2 turns. That's the 2 types of damage Reno does. So they're a very good combo. And then, of course, Isao gives some damage bonus and also shields, which you need later on in Fierce Battle for now, at least. And then Kikoru also gives the debuff while doing slash damage, which blast with Reno is good because they both do blast. Kikoru on her skill 2, Reno on his ult, and they work very well together. And on this team, you get a damage increase, the attack or the crit damage increase, crit rate increase, the blast and single target damage increase, and a defense lower on the enemy. Works very well. This is the second premium team, so for the most part, you still want to use 4 stars. So like if we're running Fierce Battle, these are the 2 teams I run, right? Personally, it's the teams I run. And let me explain this one. So Kaiju and Narumi work well together. Narumi does the damage. Basically how I like it personally is you target them like the center guy with Narumi. You get him the lowest, then Kaiju number 8 uses his skill 2. If it's 3 minions, for example, Kaiju uses his skill 2 and 1 taps below 50%, and Narumi already did damage to the ones on the side, so it's a lot easier to get them below 50%, so Kaiju can once again 1 tap. Rio is very good as that second support. Now, like I said, Rio could be replaced by any of the other ones if you really wish, so keep that in mind. He has a permanent attack boost. You don't need to use his skill 2 if you don't want to. And then his ult gives speed and damage bonus, which is very good. And then also this later on is going to be huge because for 2 turns, the ally buff for a wave, right? This is going to be very, very big for him. And what I do like, is it him? No, but yeah, well, there's the all allies damage dealt plus 10% at max dupe. So later on, he's going to be a very solid support and very consistent. And then you got Minase, who's great because you only need to use your skill 2 if need be. So you have 2 units that are SP kind of healthy, right? That let you kind of save SP if you need. The ult charge rate is huge, especially with Narumi to be able to get the extra ult gauge early on. And then the healing is very good with her. And then at max dupe, also same thing. She has a revive, which is going to be very good with this team. So this is the second premium team. Overall, I mean, these are the 5 best 5 stars in the game, right? And then the 4 stars are the best 4 stars in the game. So that's basically how it rolls. Now we got a Mina nuke, which for raid might actually be necessary. So like I said, Hoshina does single target boost, crit rate, crit damage boost, speed boost. Then Rio gives attack boost and damage boost and speed boost. And then Kikoru lowers the enemy's defense. So you get pretty much every type of buff that you can besides attack, I think. I don't think there's attack on this team. No, Rio does give attack, 10%. So I think this team is going to work pretty well against the raid. We'll have to see, but I think it could work depending on if there's gimmicks or not. But I think Mina could have a pretty good role there. And then we got Reno free to play. So you got basically just triple support. You got your sustain and double support. And this could work because Reno just does so much damage, especially if you have his weapon. It's actually insane how much he's able to do. So I don't really need to explain it. I've already explained these units, but yeah, Reno, you always want to make sure it's comboing with Hoshina. At least on this team, it works quite well. We're going to have another team comp that could work though. Now, 5 is grinding. So you have Soshi, why did I read his first name? Hoshina and Narumi. So these two together, well, you got Narumi for the slash. I keep on saying slash, I mean blast. And then you got Hoshina for the AoE. Now you put Rio with Hoshina because the 4-star Hoshina buffs blast and single target. So it's better to have, I guess, the auto AI go with Narumi for the skill 2, and then give everything to Narumi, and then Hoshina is going to be able to just be with Rio. So that's kind of how I like it. You could put it the other way if you want to give Hoshina all the benefit, but this is more for grinding, so it's like it doesn't really matter. Now, best friends. So this is basically one team that I used to use, Reno and Kaiju number 8, but because they're the best units, I like separating them in fierce battle. But it works well because Reno is very easily able to get them below 50%, and then Kaiju number 8 just one taps, right? And then obviously Hoshina there, once again, being such a good damage support. Like the only thing he doesn't give is literally attack. Right? He gives everything else. Besides AoE, there's no really good AoE units yet. So it's like single target, blast attack, speed, crit damage, normal attack, because why not? And then crit rate, which is crazy. It's like he does so much. And also follow up, because why not? The only thing he doesn't buff is literally just AoE damage and attack. It's like he literally buffs everything else. Normal attack, blast, single target, damage just in general, I think. Crit damage, crit rate, speed. It's like, it's crazy. So this team works pretty well. I do enjoy it, but it's just usually in fierce battle I split it up. And then AoE, double AoE, Rio with Shinonome, Minase with Hoshina. Not that it really matters. It's an okay team. I'm just saying, if you, I had to include Shinonome somewhere. I just don't think she's that good. It's a bit unfortunate, but you could replace her with literally anything else. Like, she replaces any blast unit on any other team, right? Like, for the Narumi here, it could be Shinonome. For the Kikoru here, technically, it could be. For Narumi here, it could be Shinonome, right? Just put her anywhere that there's a blast unit. That's basically it. And then the last team, this one's a bit unique, so I'm going to explain exactly how it works. This one's very actually specialized. So you want to put Reno with Minase, and the main reason, and you want to also have Kikoru for this team. You want to have double debuffers. It could be anyone else for Kikoru as a debuffer, but you want to have double debuffer. And then on Minase, right, how she works is you want to have, I think it's not this one, sorry, let me try and find it. I don't have it on, but it's this one. So, no, wait, one sec. So you need this weapon, and basically it says, after the equipped unit attacks a kaiju that already has a debuff or a status ailment, the equipped unit's ultimate gauge plus 30. And you want to have this also because 300 ult gauge, of course, and you're not using her skill 2 that much, right? So keep that in mind. And basically, with this team, you could basically cycle that Reno and Kikoru use their ults separately, so it's almost always up. And when you do a Reno and Minase follow-up, well, Minase is going to once again get that 30 ult gauge, so she's going to be able to spam that extra ult gauge. And I put Hoshina there because he's still very good with Kikoru, because Kikoru does single target and blast, and Hoshina buffs both of them. So it works out where Hoshina is a good partner for Kikoru. And then Minase basically wants to follow-up attacks when Reno breaks, because of the fact that whenever you do a follow-up too, that also gives you the 30 ult gauge, but you need that weapon or else this team won't work. But if you do have that, then you're going to be able to do a lot of sustaining. You might be able to clear things under leveled and not die because of the fact that Minase is going to be able to do more heals. So this is another team that I think would be something worth it looking into if you do have that weapon. But that's kind of it for the teams. Let me know if there's anything else, but besides that, that's kind of it. I just wanted to make a quick best teams video. I do enjoy making these. I think overall these are the main units that you're going to end up using in the game, but you guys let me know what you think. Do you use these teams? Do you use other teams? Do you use other units that I didn't mention at all? If so, let me know down below. Leave a like on the video and subscribe for more content. See you in the next one. Bye bye.